Hello, and welcome to Late to School. Is that what our podcast is called, or is it Late for School?
It's late to school. What?
Okay.
Why are
I'm
you...
Lorena.
I'm Zach.
This is a Flip Flappers Watchcast.
It is. Cracking start.
Fuck you. So today we're going to be talking about the sort of penultimate episodes of Flip Flappers.
Yeah. Things are getting pretty
complicated. Yeah, The plot is not known at this time.
That's a joke that only works for us, I feel like.
Just go read IMDb, you'll understand.
Yeah, look at Flip Flappers' IMDb page.
So our first episode this week is episode 10, Pure Jitter, which first aired December 8th, 2016. It was directed, as always, by Kiyotaka Oshiyama, and also Hidemi Yamashita. And I had the realization, hey, you know what TV shows have? Credits.
Yeah.
If I want to find the writers of the episodes, maybe I look there. No. Yeah. Yuniko Ayano, the original head writer, isn't even listed by name in the credits. She's just credited as Pure Illusionist. And maybe that was a decision she made herself. I know lots of Japanese artists like to go by pen names like that. But it's very strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, this episode is some fucking wild shit.
Yeah. So we open on Papika, sitting on a spiral staircase thing. That I don't know if we've seen before.
No, I think we can probably assume it's like some entrance to Flip Flap somewhere.
Yeah. It does, it reminds me a lot of the Spiral Asclepius Tower.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And she's just staring at her shard, the one on the necklace, I think, and just quietly says "Mimi" to herself. And then in Flip Flap, we see Kokona is still sleeping in the hallway outside the infirmary, and Dr. Hidaka wheels Yayaka out on a stretcher. I think she also has like an IV drip.
Yeah, or something like that.
And Kokona stops him and asks where he's taking her, and Dr. Salt is also here. Also, Sayuri is here, I think, too.
Yes.
They're all here. They're all here. The gang's all here. And Salt explains that Yayaka is the enemy, and we can't keep her here. But Kokona protests, saying that Yayaka is her friend. And Sayuri asks Salt to let Yayaka stay until they're done treating her, and Salt eventually reneges. Reneges? Is that the word?
You know, I should know, but I don't.
But he says that they have until morning.
Yeah. Which
is not
no
a lot of time for someone who's been hit by many missiles. And then at Asclepius, have we remembered yet how to pronounce that fucking word?
Fucking whatever, man. Asclepius.
We see that new girl.
Yeah.
The third child of Amorphous, who is the blue pigtails girl. And she is nuzzling the pillar. Which is a sentence.
You didn't have to make it like that, but you did.
And she senses something and seems surprised. And we don't really know what that is yet.
No.
I don't know if we learned it in this episode.
Oh, we do.
Okay, I can't remember now.
I'll explain when we get to it.
Meanwhile, Toto and Yu, Toto is in bed recovering from his injuries, and Yu is watching over him. They're in a very sort of sterile medical environment that feels like it's contrasting the fucking storage hallway outside the medic's office in Flip Flap. And one of the pointy boys shows up and tells Yu that all of the Amorphous have been found.
Yep.
And the new girl, the blue girl,
Zoe Deschanel is here.
Is also here, and she says that they've all been confirmed by me.
Yeah, that's what she sensed.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So she was nuzzling the pillar and, like, looking for other Amorphous in Pure Illusion, I guess, and, like, couldn't find one.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that makes sense. And the Pointy Boy says that they'll begin the operation when Yayaka's coordinates are confirmed.
Uh-huh.
And Yu tries to protest that Toto is still injured, but she gets sort of waved off. And the new girl asks what she's gonna have to do. Like, what's her job?
Mm-hmm.
And the Pointy Boy is like, nothing.
Yeah.
You stay here. And the new girl huffs and says, how boring. I don't care what you say. I'm going too.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pointy Boy says it's an order, and she's like, fine.
New girl, by the way, is voiced by Emily Neves.
Okay.
Who is Yui Kiriyama in Kokoro Connect.
Okay.
Ringo Oganome in Penguin Drum, which is an Ikuhara joint that we'll have to watch eventually.
Really? Okay.
And Goku's mom in Dragon Ball Super Brawly.
Okay. Sure.
Goku's mom has a name, but I don't want to try to pronounce it because I have no fucking clue.
Okay. Honestly, that's the funniest way you could have phrased it, though, so... But yeah, Goku's mom is upset about not being allowed to do shit. And then the head Pointy Boy.
Yes.
The pointiest boy.
The behind the voice actors page for Flip Flappers calls him High Priest.
Okay.
Which I guess we can call him too.
Sure.
I say that now because he's gonna be having a bit more screen time than he's had previously.
Okay. This is the one in the white, right?
Yes, the one in white. He also, he has both eyes visible instead of just one sort of ocular lens.
Yeah.
Like the other Pointy Boys have.
The other ones might just all be robots?
I don't think so, but who knows?
But we see this guy's eyes in some shots, so, like, behind the mask.
Yeah.
So, he's definitely a man, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just standing in front of the pillar, and he says, the time of rebirth and release is finally upon us.
Uh-huh, yep.
And then back at Flip Flap, Papika approaches Kokona.
Yeah.
She's here now. Again, she was probably here before.
Yeah.
That was probably part of Flip Flap. And begins to say that she needs to talk with her, but then stops when she sees that Kokona is sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the intro. Which is a weirdly anticlimactic thing to end the cold open on.
Uh-huh. Listen, it's a dramatic conversation they have to have. But she's
One's
not
asleep.
going to. Yeah. Conflict. Internal
conflict. Speaking of...
Man versus self.
Man versus self. Man versus lesbianism.
I don't... Okay. Sure.
Lesbianism versus... Pointy Boys.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of internal, we're in her dreams now.
We're in Kokona's dreams.
We're back in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh, this place again." And the lady says, "Welcome home," and Kokona is fed up with this cryptic bullshit. So she's just like, "Who the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck is you?" And the woman turns. And we finally see her face. Yeah. She's not an old lady. That is her chin, not her nose.
That is her chin.
And she says, I'm Mimi. And Kokona gasps and wakes up.
Uh-huh.
And Papika has fallen asleep next to her.
Mm-hmm.
And mumbles, is that you, Mimi? Just can't catch a break, Kokona.
No.
And she is upset.
Uh-huh.
And angrily... stands up, which causes Papika to fall to the floor because she was leaning on Kokona. And Kokona walks off and says, sorry to disappoint you again. And Papika rushes after her and asks her to wait. And she grabs Kokona's hand, and Kokona just demands to know everything about Mimi.
Mm-hmm.
Which Papika started telling her last time.
Yeah.
But I guess didn't finish, and I guess stopped. Because she didn't want to?
She told Kokona that Mimi was her partner.
Yes.
But I don't think that was, like, a prelude to further explanation. That was just kind of all she was going to say about it.
Okay. I have to wonder if partner if whatever that's translated from in Japanese has the same sort of potential double meaning that it does in English.
I don't know. I'm unsure.
Because I think that double meaning adds a lot to Kokona's frustration here.
Yes.
Papika starts to answer, but then is like, no, she hesitates, and Kokona angrily tells her to let go of her hand and says that she has to go see Yayaka. Mm-hmm. And as she walks away, Papika just says to herself, I can't. You'll only be sad if I tell you.
Uh-huh.
And then Boo is here.
And Boo is here.
And Tickle fights Papika.
Yeah.
He grabs her. We see that he's taking her somewhere later.
Yes.
But I do love that he's very just fucking weirdly playful about it.
Uh-huh.
And Papika is on board.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem creepy.
No.
But
maybe we can try to headcanon some redeeming qualities for Boo, and maybe he's trying to cheer her up.
Yeah. And also take her somewhere else. But because that's his job.
Yeah.
But then there's a scene of Grandma, Kokona's grandma.
Yes.
Just kind of sitting in the house and thinking about how Kokona hasn't come home.
Well, she's in Kokona's room and sees that her bed is empty.
Mm-hmm. I think she looks in at Yukskule.
Uh-huh.
And she says she must be in a rebellious stage.
Uh-huh.
Which...
Yeah.
And then Yukskule pops his head out, his little fabric cocoon, and just kind of looks around.
Yeah.
And then we see something.
Uh-huh.
Which is, we get a shot of the city, and we see something tunneling underneath it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I don't know if we find out what that is.
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll point it out when we get to it.
Back with Boo and Papika. Mm-hmm. Boo has sort of wrapped up Papika and has dragged her to Salt's office.
Uh-huh.
We don't, unfortunately, get to see inside his drawer, so we don't know if he does, in fact, not have a keyboard.
This is the first time we've seen Salt's office in the real world, I guess.
And Salt says, it's time we talk, Papikana.
Uh-huh.
And Papika says, oh, I'm known as Papika now.
Uh-huh.
Which is a fucking wild way to phrase that.
Is it?
I'm known as... They call me Papika now.
I guess.
Papikana takes a long drag off a cigarette. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, I guess.
And then Salt says, so it seems your memories have returned, Papikana.
Mm-hmm.
And Papika says, and you've only gotten meaner.
Mm-hmm.
And Salt says, and you haven't changed a bit, have you? Which is interesting.
Uh-huh.
And then we cut.
Yeah, we cut back to Kokona.
Yeah, in the infirmary.
Uh-huh.
With a prone Yayaka.
Mm-hmm.
And she is watering a can of begonias that looks like a little robot face.
Yeah, it's very cute.
It's
got, like, googly eyes.
Yeah. And we hear Yayaka's voice saying, what is that? Why is it so ugly?
Uh-huh.
And Kokona is very relieved that Yayaka has woken up. And Yayaka tries to sit up, and Kokona tells her to be careful. And Yayaka says, that jerk in shades isn't gonna let this go, about Salt.
Uh-huh.
And Kokona says that she'll be happy to talk to Salt about the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then happily shows Yayaka the flowers, and says that Sayuri sent them. And Hideka brought the can.
Uh-huh.
So
of course he did.
I'm guessing he made that thing.
Yeah.
And the water just spills out between the teeth of the can.
Uh-huh.
And Kokona's like, oh shit.
Hideka's, he's a roboticist, but he's not an engineer.
Uh-huh. He's an artist.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's built to be visually appealing, not practical.
Yeah.
You can tell he's an artist because he has pink hair.
Yes. He has a pink, very bad haircut. You can also tell he's an artist because of his beautiful eyes.
As we know from Sailor Moon, artists have to be very attractive, but also wear glasses.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah, Kokona then holds up a grocery bag and tells Yayaka that she'd like her to stay, which I like the juxtaposition of those two actions make it seem like that there's a bribe happening.
A bride?
A bribe.
Oh, okay.
Like bribing her to stay with sweets.
Yeah. This could also be a bride. This could be a proposal.
It could also be... that'd be a nice proposal, is just a bunch of snack cakes.
Yeah,
and a stupid-looking flower pot.
Uh-huh. Also, we should mention, Yayaka has, like, a bunch of bandages on her.
Yes.
And, like, a bandage eye patch.
Yes. And Yayaka is like, hey... enemies. Still enemies. But Kokona points out that she stood up for her and also decided not to kill her.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Yeah. Like friends do.
Like friends do. Friends don't kill other friends.
No.
I've always said that.
Unless it's Ross. All the friends should kill Ross.
Oh, the friends.
Like
okay. Yeah.
Get on my level, scrub. You're the one who said we need to make more jokes in our podcast.
Okay, I hesitate to call referencing the television show Friends a joke.
I mean, that show is a joke.
That's fair. Yeah, can we just reference good sitcoms?
There are only 3 of them.
Which ones?
The Good Place.
Uh-huh.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Uh-huh.
One Day at a Time.
Oh, okay, not Parks and...
I've never seen it.
Okay. I thought you loved the Golden Girls.
There's only 4 good sitcoms.
Anyway, welcome to our Golden Girls podcast. And, so Yayaka's stomach grumbles. She is like, fuck it, and grabs the bag of sweets from Kokona, and says that she's only going to stay until she finishes eating. Meanwhile, Hidaka is doing something very, very hard. He's very excited. He's doing something on a laptop.
He's in a tent.
He's in a tent. For some reason, he looks like fucking Momo, the way his mouth is stretched.
Oh, God, why would you... Oh, no. Ugh.
That's what he reminded me of.
That's not fair.
To you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sayuri opens the flap to the tent and asks if he was up all night, and he's like, of course! And Salt is here, and asks how it's coming along. And Hidaka says it's almost ready.
They don't put emphasis on it, but...
We are, because we don't know what the fuck they're talking about yet. And he says it just needs a few final touches. And Sayuri asks Salt about Kokona, and he says she's taken care of.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, it's a very ominous thing to say about someone he hasn't interacted with in the last, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And Yayaka, meanwhile, has finished her pastries. And tries to get up on her feet, but winces in pain. And Kokona asks if she's okay, and Yayaka says, those little brats are sure merciless in their nastiness. And Kokona asks the right questions, and is like, aren't the twins your partners, helping you with all the collecting? And Yayaka says that was what they were originally created to do. Which is not the question... That was not really the question she asked, but, that's a big explanation. And Kokona is like, wait, what the fuck? And Yayaka says they were created with the power of Amorphous. Each have it innately inside them, so we can travel to pure illusion.
Yeah. So Toto and Yu are fucking homunculi.
They're amorphous homunculi. That also, again, I think that pretty much confirms what I was thinking earlier. which was that, like, Toto and Yu, or, well, no, it deconfirms what I thought.
You were very adamant that they couldn't be.
Right. But...
The children of Amorphous, to be clear.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking how they get into pure illusion. And it's their relationship.
Right. Well, here's the thing. They need a third person. They needed Yayaka, and then they were going to replace Yayaka with Zooey Deschanel. And...
With Goku's mom.
And so it's like, is it because they're made of Amorphous, they're somehow not as powerful as a quote-unquote true person would be?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know the answer to these questions. I just think, worth asking.
Is it stuff you think is asked later, or answered later, or is it just stuff you
Not really.
Remember?
Not really, as far as I can remember, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. And Coconut asks what Yayaka's deal is there. And Yayaka explains that she received her powers later.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see, like, a flashback.
Yeah.
With, like, a lineup of children, including Yayaka. And Coconut asks, were there others? And Yayaka says there were, but they were incompatible. Mm-hmm. And we see one by one each of the children disappear. Yeah. Just, like, fade away until only Yayaka is left. Mm-hmm. And then we flash sort of back to the present, and Yayaka says, and yet they still continue to treat me like dog crap, even though they need me to find all the Amorphous for them.
Uh-huh.
And Yayaka sort of complains that Coconut and Papika always seem to find an Amorphous wherever they go. Mm-hmm. And Coconut asks Yayaka why they care so much about getting the shards. Mm-hmm. Which is, again, asking all the right questions. And Yayaka tells her that if they get all the Amorphous, they can take control of pure illusion. Uh-huh. And if you could do that, you could do anything. Uh-huh.
Remember when Yayaka said she wanted the shards for world domination?
I forgot about that, actually. I think I thought that was a joke she was making.
No, she was being completely honest.
And Coconut is not feeling it. She's not believing it.
Yeah.
But Yayaka says, there was a time when I used to believe if this could become a world where people wouldn't have to hurt others or be hurt themselves. If all it took was giving up a place I knew, then giving someone that power would make me so much happier. Uh-huh. So she wanted to
use pure illusion to create world peace.
Mm-hmm. And was willing to give it to someone else in the hopes that they would do that.
Yeah.
And Coconut apologizes and says that no one ever told her that. And Yayaka tells Coconut that she doesn't have to worry and that she's sure we're the ones who are wrong.
Yeah.
Which I don't...
Asclepius are the ones who are wrong.
Oh, okay.
Because they want to use the Amorphous to take control of the world.
Right. And Coconut thanks Yayaka and says that she's glad that Yayaka is her friend. Mm-hmm. And Yayaka has guilt. Uh-huh. And hesitates for a second and says that Coconut needs to know the truth.
Translation note here. Mm-hmm. In the subtitle version that's on, I think Crunchyroll is the one I saw, mm-hmm. What Yayaka says here is, let me be straight with you.
I'm glad they changed that, because I don't think Yayaka can do that.
No, absolutely not.
Not with her.
Not with Coconut.
And Yayaka starts to say, I'm not who you, but then is interrupted, as the entire base shakes. Uh-huh. And we see a drill.
Yes, that is the thing we saw earlier. Okay.
That has tunneled into Flip Flap. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Sayuri, Salt, and Hidaka are sort of at their stations and are monitoring the situation. Uh-huh. And Salt says to lure the approaching enemies toward the Thomason. Uh-huh. And Hidaka enthusiastically agrees. Mm-hmm. And we see the Asclepius robots.
Yeah.
Storming through the base. And also getting gunned down by turrets.
Yes.
And Hidaka is very proud of this. Mm-hmm. Until...
There's a pretty good scene of them trying to climb up the, weird outer wall stairway.
Yeah.
And then Hideka is just at the top of the stairs and pushes a button, and they slide down as the stairs become a ramp.
But he is humbled when Yu shows up on the camera that he's watching on his little computer screen and punches his camera with her robot fist. And yes, she and Todo are here. And Todo has what you in your notes have called a medical thing, I guess, on his head.
It's like a weird mesh hairnet.
Yeah, it's a hairnet made of light.
Is it made? I can't tell what it's made of.
It's glowy.
I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah. I mean, it's sci-fi.
I guess.
Healing tech for your head.
I had not assumed it was weird magic tech. I just thought it was some medical thing I didn't know about.
We saw it earlier, too, in that scene where he had it on when he was on the table getting his wounds fixed.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he scans for the target, and he's like, I found it. The shortest route is, and Yu punches down a wall and says, this way.
Yep.
Which is extremely good. Also, it seems like they Yu and Todo have kind of desynchronized.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, which is interesting. And then we see the robots continuing to swarm through the halls and stuff, and continuously fall victim to the traps of the flip-flap dungeon. That would make sense. It would make a lot of sense if Hideka just really likes Dungeons and Dragons, and he always GMs. I want you to imagine, real quick, D&D, Hideka is GMing, and the players are Sayuri, Salt, Boo, and Papika.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Boo plays a bard who tries to fuck everything.
Of course he does. I don't know, I can't imagine what Salt plays.
Salt plays a human, definitely a human.
I think a wizard, though.
A wizard? I was gonna say paladin.
Maybe. He would definitely try to win.
Yes.
He would be the most, like, min-maxed character.
Definitely.
He would want to be the most optimal he could be. And Sayuri just has fun. Papika has a ton of... She always plays, like, weird shit from bonus handbooks like Lizard Folk or Tabaxi.
Yeah, definitely. Are Tabaxi not a core race now?
Oh, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She probably also likes Dragonborn and Tieflings, though.
Probably.
Welcome to our Dungeons and Dragons watch, guys. What if we watched the movie Dungeons and Dragons? Okay. We back with Yayaka and Kokona. Yayaka sort of struggles to her feet after being knocked down by the rumbling hitting the base. And there's a rumbling from somewhere else in the base. It's just a lot of rumbling in Flip Flap today.
Yeah, Yayaka's belly.
Yeah.
The base itself.
The drill. And Yayaka tells Kokona that she needs to fucking jet. And Kokona protests, but Yayaka pushes her away and says, I'll be fine. Like I said, my resolve is different than yours.
Yeah.
Not stronger, just different.
Just different.
And Kokona tries to argue again, and then the wall caves in. And who do we know who's good at doing that?
It's Todo and Yu.
Yeah, they punched a wall. Well, she punched a wall.
She punched a wall.
Todo's just there.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does a missiles.
He scans.
He scans. He does scan. That boy, the one thing you can say about him is that he do scan.
Yeah.
Yayaka, maybe we shouldn't make more jokes on this podcast.
Sometimes they're fine. That D&D bit you remember that one?
Yeah.
From back then?
Remember when we had that D&D bit?
That was pretty fun.
Good times. Yayaka steps up to defend Kokona and tells her to run. And Todo and Yu tell her she can't. She has to come with them. Kokona, specifically. I think also Yayaka, but
probably
mainly Kokona. And Kokona is like, why? And the twins are like, no one told you?
No one told you about this?
No one,
You heard about this?
Did you know? Have you heard the news?
There's a shard in you.
There's a shard in you. You have your own amorphous. And Coconut is like, wait, what?
Uh-huh.
And there is like a shot just on her thighs.
Is there?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
I guess just to remind the audience.
Yeah.
That this thing that they already knew because of, textual irony. What's the fucking word?
Dramatic irony?
Dramatic irony. Show ironicness.
Uh-huh.
And Toto explains that that's why Yayaka was always watching her.
Mm-hmm.
And they explained that Yayaka pretended to meet Coconut by accident. And Coconut is horrified.
Yep.
And the twins say, she tricked you. You fell for it.
Uh-huh.
So now I guess they're kind of resynchronized.
Yeah. They can only sync up when they're being smug pieces of shit.
I mean, mood.
Yeah.
I don't know what that meant, actually, for that mood meant.
Yeah, I don't either.
Coconut turns to Yayaka and asks her to say that it isn't true, and Yayaka cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And then Papika is here.
Papika swoops in.
Yeah, she's on her new hover surfer. And Yayaka tells them to fucking book it.
Mm-hmm.
But Papika tells her to get on, and Yayaka's like, nah, I'm good. I'll take care of it. And Papika is like, cool.
Yeah.
And flies off with Coconut. And Yu tries to pursue them, but Yayaka uses the tether that is attached to Hideka's flower pot.
Yeah.
To wrap around her and catch her.
Uh-huh.
To keep her from chasing them.
Yep.
Which I really like to think Hideka did think he wasn't smart enough to make it work as a flower pot. But he did think, what's she do? She does the tether thing? She has like ropes and shit?
Uh-huh.
If I'm gonna give her a gift, I should include that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is,
yeah,
very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Can't wait until Yayaka gets invited to their D&D night. Makes like a barbarian or something.
Uh-huh. Definitely.
And Papika and Coconut are flying through the tunnels.
Uh-huh.
The tunnels.
We saw those.
I guess we did.
At the very beginning of the show.
I guess, yeah. Listen, it's a big fucking base, and I don't know how they have fucking afforded this shit.
Well, I think these might be sewers. I don't know.
Okay.
They
sewers
go
with, like, fucking LED lighting?
Listen, they go everywhere.
Not LED. Fluorescent.
Is it fluorescent?
Yeah, I think it's fluorescent lights.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I guess it would help the sewer workers. And Papika says that they're nearly out of the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
And Coconut is like, hey, let me down.
Uh-huh.
And Papika is confused and tries to ask why, but Coconut just repeats herself. And Papika does. She stops the hover surfer and lets Coconut down into the pipe floor. The tunnel floor. And asks what's wrong. And Coconut is silent. And Papika explains that, kind of unprompted, that Salt asked her to take you and Mimi's shards and protect them at all costs.
Yeah, Papika has like a weird...
She has like a purple backpack that she is wearing on her front.
Yes.
Which is a very good touch, because of course she is. And Coconut asks, you have her shard too? What else were you keeping from me, Papika? Just because you can't manage to go to Pure Illusion without me doesn't give you the right to force it. I never even wanted to go on those adventures. You tricked me into going. Which is not entirely true.
Not entirely true, but
Coconut's in a rough spot right now.
Very rough.
And Papika tries to argue, but Coconut whirls around and demands to know why Papika won't tell her about Mimi. And Papika just quietly says, I just can't. And Coconut says, I don't get it. I don't know anything about Mimi, and yet she somehow enters my dreams. I'm so stupid, which is a very sad bit. And Papika explains, finally, she says, Mimi was my partner, and she was the greatest friend I've ever known. And Kokona is shocked, and she cries.
And then it's flashback time. Love a flashback.
Do
you not like flashbacks?
No, I'm being genuine.
Okay.
They're a useful storytelling device to convey information about previous events without having to resort to pure exposition.
Yeah, like right now.
Yeah. Where we see a facility by a big lake.
Yes. A lake that should be familiar.
Yeah, because we saw it before, right? When they went to the...
When they
came out...
They came out of Eros...
Well, they haven't come out yet, but... I mean, Kokona hasn't, but...
When they emerged from Pure Illusion, I can't remember what episode it was, but...
And we saw that guy.
We saw that guy, who that was Salt. Like, I thought maybe it was something that was explained later and was kind of weird, but no, it was just Salt.
Okay. That is what I figured.
Yeah.
When you asked if I knew who that was, I figured the only guy this could be is Salt.
Yeah. Also, when Papika made a flower crown for Kokona. Just remember that. Anyway, facility time.
Anyway, facility time. We see 5 children in a big room with a couple scientists. You can tell they're scientists because they have lab coats. And I think glasses.
It's probably some of them. I don't think we really see their faces.
And one of the scientists asks for candidate number 45 to step forward. And we see baby Papika.
You see a little Papika.
We see a small one. She's not as baby as she was in the Eero episodes.
Right. But she is baby.
She is baby.
Basically, she's baby.
Call 911. And God, we're not funny.
I am. I won't defend your honor, but I'll defend mine.
Yeah, she's like 10 or something, probably.
Probably something like that.
And her hands are bound in cuffs now.
Yes.
And we see one of the scientists leading her down a hallway, and we hear some other kids gossiping about how, the ones who get taken to Mimi's room never come back. Which is not promising for Papika. But she smiles and says she can't wait to meet Mimi. And wonders if she and Mimi will become friends. And then we see Mimi, who is sitting alone in, like, a very tidy, like, white room.
Yeah.
In, like, a floral bed, I think.
It's like a very idealized version of a girl's room.
Yes. She's got a bunch of teddy bears on her bed. And I'm gonna just posit a theory now. I mean, let's just say after none of the kids who go to Mimi's room ever come back, and seeing a bunch of differently colored teddy bears on her bed is troubling.
Is it? Okay. That's a weird theory, but...
I mean, just what if she made them into teddy bears?
Okay.
Like you do.
Maybe. Also, Mimi's wearing, like, I don't know if it's Lolita style, but it's like a very frilly white dress.
Yeah. And then we also we sort of see this room, and we see outside of this room is a big sort of SCP Foundation fucking screen room.
An observation room.
Yeah. Where a bunch of scientists are walking around and sciencing. And we see 2 specific sciencers who are an older man and a young boy in a sort of a oversized science jacket, lab coat.
Yeah, that's the one.
And the young boy, he's got these big fucking glasses. And the boy asks his dad, who we know because he says father, who the girl is, and his dad says that's A33, or Mimi as we like to call her.
So in Japanese, the number 3 one of the possible ways to say it, I don't know the exact context of when you would say it this way, is Mitsu.
Oh, okay.
And so she's 33, or Mitsu, or Mimi.
Okay. I love shit like that. Dad, science dad, explains that she's the only one who has the ability to get to pure illusion. And the boy sort of stares at her in wonder, and his dad tells him to hurry the fuck up. And they walk off. And then in Mimi's room, a voice comes over, like, the intercom, and tells her that her new partner candidate has arrived. And the door opens, and Papika yells, "Salutations!" Because of course she does. And Papika just sort of helps herself onto Mimi's bed, and introduces herself as Papikana.
Yeah.
And Mimi tells her that that's a weird name, and says it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
Which I guess is fair.
I mean, maybe it's harder to pronounce in Japanese.
That's true. That's fair. And Papika smiles and says, in that case, Mimi can call her whatever she wants. And Mimi just says, "No thanks," which is an extremely funny response to that. And now...
And the scene just kind of fades out with Papika going like, huh? And now...
it is night.
It is nighttime.
Night has fallen. And we see that Papika is sleeping in her ball pit.
In a ball pit.
Naked.
Yes. She's in it's like a tube?
It's like a tube, and we know she likes to be in tubes.
Yeah. And I don't know, the room the tube is in looks like a cafeteria to me for some reason.
She's just in, the cafeteria pit.
The cafeteria ball pit where Papikana sleeps.
Every science lab gotta have the cafeteria pit.
Yeah.
I love to think they give all the kids beds, but Papika was just like, nah.
No, you got a ball pit, my dude?
And she's talking to herself and is like, saying that Mimi smelled nice. And hopes that she can see her again, and she notices a vent on the ceiling. And has a thought. And she crawls through the vents. We see her with clothes on now, thankfully. She's got a medical robe thing on.
Yeah.
One of, smock.
Like a patient gown.
Yeah. And she crawls through the vents and tries to sniff her way back to Mimi's room. Because some things never change. And we see the boy.
Yeah.
We see that boy again, studying in his room. And then there's a loud crash as Papika falls through the vent into his room. And she
immediately introduces herself. She falls through the vent. He's like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm Papikana."
And then he's like, "That's a weird name." Like, that's the biggest problem with this situation.
He says, "That's a weird name." She asks what his name is, and he says, I study here? My name's Salt. So, hey, this is Salt.
This is Salt. But also...
That's a weird name.
Houses.
I'm Salt.
Papika... I bet that's especially, like, in Japanese. I feel like Papika is a more normal name. Sorry, Papikana.
Papikana.
Is a more normal name than Salt.
Yeah.
Also, it seems to be that's his given name. Which is also fucking bonkers. Also, they call him Dr. Salt in the future.
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Bob. Anywho. Papika tells him his clothes are weird.
Yes.
And he says it's because he's training. He's training. And Papika changes topics and asks if he knows where to find Mimi. And Salt is surprised that Papika knows about Mimi. I don't know how much this kid knows about
basically
what the fuck
nothing,
is going
it
on.
Seems. I imagine this might be like the first time he's been brought to this facility.
That would make sense. It's bring your son to work day.
Yeah, or,
Just hope there's no deadly neurotoxins going on.
Yeah. Bring your son to work day and now he lives here.
Yeah, I mean, that's also what happened in Portal.
Is it?
Kinda.
Okay.
By accident, but...
Okay.
Salt asks how Papika knows Mimi, and Papika says, we're sort of friends. Or, I'd like to be.
And Salt said he would like to be too.
Yeah. And then he hears his father's voice calling, and he yells that it's nothing for him to worry about. Mm-hmm. Which is, if I were a parent...
Immediately, I gotta go see what's going on.
That is the most worrisome possible sentence.
Mm-hmm. And then he turns back and Papika's climbing back into the vent.
He lied on her behalf, and then she ditched him. I don't mind, though, because he's a fucking square, anyway.
Wow!
I mean, look at those glasses. He's a fucking...
Well, look at his sunglasses in the future.
Be careful who you call ugly in middle school. That brings me to my point. That I wanted to... there's a point I wanted to bring up earlier.
About Salt?
About Salt. So we know he has glasses. Uh-huh. Do you think his sunglasses are prescription?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Or does 100%. Does he wear
sunglasses
contacts underneath?
I think his sunglasses are prescription.
Okay. And then we cut to Mimi asking, "What's a lake?" They're in. Papika's got to her room and is explaining what lakes are.
I think this might be an official visit.
Oh, okay. And Papika excitedly explains, "It's like this friggin' big." Wait, no.
It's like this frickin' big.
And she holds her arms out, and she says, "All water."
Uh-huh.
And damn, dude, sure is.
Sure is.
And Mimi tells her that's impossible.
Uh-huh.
Because who could drink all that water? Which is so good. Mm-hmm. That's such a fantastic line. Mm-hmm.
Have I mentioned... I haven't talked about Mimi's voice actors yet, I think.
Oh, no, you haven't.
Mimi is voiced by Shelley Kayleen Black.
Okay.
Who is Kanan in the show Kanan. Mm-hmm. She's also a lot of moms in stuff.
Okay.
She's Toko's mom in Bloom Into You and Tomoko's mom in Watamote.
Okay.
And a bunch of other moms and shit.
Okay. But not Goku's mom.
Not Goku's mom, though.
Also, did you read the Japanese voice actors for...
Shit, I didn't write them down. God damn it. Shit.
We'll catch that on the flip side.
Will we? We will.
We will.
Have to.
Papika explains that she saw the lake.
On her way to the facility.
And there were white flowers blooming everywhere. And Mimi's like, "What's a flower?" And Papika is confused. And Mimi explains, like, "Well, are there any flowers around here? Because all I've ever known is this room. I envy you for having seen all of that. You have been outside." Mm-hmm. And Papika tells her that they can go outside together and have an adventure. Mm-hmm. Again, some things never change. Mm-hmm. And then Mimi smiles and asks, "Someday, you promise me, Papika?" Mm-hmm. And Papika smiles and nods. So now this is the first time she's Papika and not Papikana. And then in the observation room, one of the scientists notes no noticeable change in impedance. Mm-hmm. And asks if they should move on to the next candidate. And Salt's father hesitates, and then says, "Yeah." Mm-hmm. And then we see Papika return to Salt's room, popping her head out, hanging down like a bat, and tells him that she needs a favor. And then we cut to the favor happening, which is Papika, Salt, and Mimi are all outside, having a picnic by the lake. And Mimi is fucking digging it. Mm-hmm. Because it's a super fucking sparkly lake.
Yeah.
It's all water.
And it's this friggin' big.
Holds hands out. And she thanks Papika for keeping her promise. And Papika explains that Salt got permission from his father. Mm-hmm. And Mimi thanks Salt also. And Salt quietly says, "You're welcome." Mm-hmm. And that it's only for a little while. He's very clearly got a crush on Mimi. And then we see a sort of far shot from there of, in the distance, two, like, dudes in fucking riot gear holding what are hopefully tranquilizer guns.
Yeah.
And standing in the woods nearby and watching these picnicking children.
Mm-hmm.
And Papika gets Mimi to try one of her rice balls, which has carrots in it.
Yeah, sweet carrots.
Yeah. And Mimi is like, hey, that's weird.
Yeah.
The carrots are sweet. And Papika says, I think I'm gonna call that dish Papikana Special Gra... And Mimi is like, Gra? And Papika is like, I always forget. And I don't know what she was actually trying to say there.
I don't either.
Graret rice ball.
Grarets, yeah, It's my favorite Star Wars alien.
And Salt apparently walked off earlier, and now he's back. And
the Rayman series really went off the rails when they started focusing more on the Grarets.
That's nothing.
Fuck you. Salt's back.
Salt's back, and he has a flower crown.
Mm-hmm.
He wove a little flower crown out of the white flowers, and tells Mimi that it's for her.
Mm-hmm.
And Papika helps her put it on, and Mimi looks at herself in the lake's reflection. And she says, so this is what flowers smell like. I'm so happy. Mm-hmm. And she smiles for the first time. And Papika notes that.
Mm-hmm.
And is very happy. And Mimi tells her, if you like, now I'll show you something. The world only I know about. And she grabs Papika's hand. And we see in the monitoring station, something gets weird. And goes wild. And then Papika and Mimi are flying above the earth. And Papika yells that it feels amazing, and they zoom off.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to pure illusion.
Yep.
So Mimi can just do that, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, there was no dark spots they had to fall into or anything. Nope. She just grabbed hold, and now they're in pure illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then cut back to present day. Papika is still explaining all this shit to Coconut in the tunnels. And Papika is like, it fucking ruled. She took me to pure illusion for the first time. And Coconut is done. She's heard enough. And she yells, I now understand I'm just a replacement for Mimi, because I can go to pure illusion, because I have a shard inside me. That's the only reason. And Papika protests that she says, it's because you're you, Coconut. Which is a really... I love when, like, I'm about to say, which is a really sad or, like, emotional line, and your voice does that. You're like, and then Coconut says, so really anyone would have been fine. And Papika runs over and tries to grab Coconut's hand, but she pulls away. And she says, all the people in Flip Flap, Yayaka, and you, I hate you. And Papika is horrified. And Coconut makes a break for it.
Yep.
And Papika tries to grab her hover surfer and chase after her, but Coconut leaps into a nearby tube. And Papika follows after her, but the tunnel splits off, and they split up. Because symbolism.
Yeah. And we see that through the flip-flap monitors.
Yes.
Where Sayuri is watching and tells Dr. Salt that they've safely escaped the facility. And Salt then just very casually says, destroy the base.
Yep.
And leaves.
And we see Coconut having popped out of in the park near the town. Like, she's coming out of a little manhole cover. And just says to herself, I can't stand this anymore. And meanwhile, Papika fucking pops out of the ground in town, like a fucking champagne cork, and immediately resumes her search for Coconut on her hover surfer. And Coconut goes home.
Yeah.
And is surprised to see her grandma waiting for her. Mm-hmm. And Grandma welcomes her home, and Kokona smiles and says, "I'm back now." I feel like she could see that.
Yeah.
But...
well, sometimes you just gotta say something.
I guess. And then Kokona goes and rinses her face off in the bathroom and says, "I look pretty terrible," which is very tell, don't show, because she maybe has one hair out of place. Yeah. If that. Yeah. I couldn't tell a single thing different from her, how she always looks. Yeah. And then she comes out of the bathroom and tries to tell her grandma that she's fine, but robots are here.
She's surrounded by robots.
There's a bunch of robots here. They're the Ishlepius robots. Mm-hmm. And Kokona tries to yell to her grandma to run, but we see Grandma.
Yep.
Who has stood up out of her wheelchair.
Uh-huh.
Which is not notable, because even though we've never seen her in it, there are people who use wheelchairs and can also stand.
Right.
But it's treated as notable by the...
yes.
Because...
yeah.
Because people assume that if you use a wheelchair, you can only be in the wheelchair all the time.
Yeah.
So...
yeah.
It's sort of a visual shorthand.
I think Kokona would know whether her grandma can stand or not.
Sure, but we don't.
Yeah, fair.
But Kokona is confused. Mm-hmm. And horrified and asks what's going on. And Grandma says, "Sorry about all this, my dear. You can go ahead and take her."
Uh-huh.
And Kokona tries to run away and is begging her grandma to explain, but the robots have grabbed her and are sort of forcing her onto the ground. Mm-hmm. And Grandma says, "I'd appreciate it if you didn't hurt her too much." And she, explains to Kokona, "Because it was all just a lie, my dear. You've always been such a good girl, Kokona. You'll forgive me, won't you?" And
this is shot in a way where it's we see it from Kokona's perspective, and everything is sort of twisting in on itself.
Uh-huh. In part, seemingly because she is probably being choked.
Maybe. Also, though, this is, horrifying to her.
Yes. Uh-huh. And, everything just distorts around her, and then everything starts to go dark. And we hear Mimi's voice saying that everything is alright now. Mm-hmm. And then Kokona's shard glows.
Uh-huh.
Bright red.
Yep.
And then glows more, and to the point that a massive fucking red corona explodes out of her house. Mm-hmm. And we see the pillar in the Ishlepius base also begins glowing. Mm-hmm. And the hooded guys all bask in reverence, as you put in the notes, which is a good phrasing, I think. And the shards in Papika's bag also glow.
Just glow and sort of phase out of it.
Yep. Because here's the thing. If there's one thing I know about magical girl shows, it's that at some point, a bunch of crystals have to fly into a girl to make her very powerful. The crystals phase through the bag, and Papika tries to catch them, but they fly off. Mm-hmm. And the shards all converge at Kokona's house, and the light emerging from her glows brighter and brighter, and destroys her house. And all the robots.
Yep.
Including her grandma.
Who was a robot.
We see was a robot. We see her remains, and she's a robot. And we see Kokona standing in the wreckage of her house. Mm-hmm. And her eyes are now red like Mimi's.
Yes. I don't think we said that before, but no. Yes.
Yeah. And we see a shot of her reflection in a shard of glass that has fallen, and instead of her skirt, we see the flowing white dress that Mimi wore. Mm-hmm. And Mimi's voice says, "From now on, Mother will always protect you, Kokona." And the credits.
Flip, flap, flip, flap. And then the next episode preview. Can I read this?
Yeah, sure.
Salt informs us that Next time refers to the future, and the future is a fluid and indefinite thing. There is no such thing as a next episode preview or anything like it. That is all. Mm-hmm. Next time, though.
Next time, Pure Storage.
Yeah, our next episode is episode 11, Pure Storage. I don't know why I had to repeat it, because you said it. Anyway.
Why not?
First aired December 15th, 2016. It was directed by Kiyotaka Oshiyama, as always, and Keisuke Shinohara. This episode opens in a way. Sorry, I thought I remembered.
Papika is still looking for Coconut on her hover surfer. She has dropped her purple backpack.
We see it, like, falling to the ground. Mm-hmm.
Because there's no more shards inside it, so who gives a shit? And she is flying around, and she spots the ruins of Coconut's house, and flies down to investigate, and calls out for Coconut, and notices some movement from underneath a pile of rubble, and rushes over to dig it up, trying to find Coconut, hoping it's Coconut. But it's not Coconut. It's Yuxkiel.
She digs him up, and he tries...
He's all covered in dirt, the poor little guy.
He tries to pantomime and explain to her what the fuck happened.
And Papika is like, I'm sorry, I can't understand you. And Yuxkiel is very sad. But Papika is like, don't worry about it. And she hops back on her hover surfer and tells Yuxkiel that they'll find Coconut. Meanwhile, we see the Schlefius base, and we sort of pan up the tower, and we see Coconut is sitting on top of the tower. And the pointy boys are standing at the base and looking up in awe. And the leader guy, High Priest, asks, "Is it really you, Mimi?" And Mimi recognizes him from the research facility. And
Coconut speaks with Mimi's voice.
Yes. Coconut is now possessed by Mimi.
Yes.
Yeah, if that wasn't clear. She says something, I don't think you wrote it down here, but it's pretty great. She has a line, and then there's like a cut to the base, from her to the base of the pillar, and she's already standing at the base of the pillar now. And all the pointy boys are very impressed at her teleportation. I love that she was just hanging out on top of the thing, too. She just likes to be tall. And one of the guys approaches, and he's excited that they have finally found all the Amorphous. And then he's stopped, as underneath him, a field of flowers and grass springs up on the floor. And grows over him, and consumes his entire body.
Yep.
And one of the hood guys is horrified and says to get the Amorphous, and the squad of robots surrounding them draw their guns and point them at Mimi, and Mimi asks if they're going to take Coconut away again, and a small flower bud sprouts on one of the robots' face, and it immediately collapses and is consumed by the plants.
Yep.
And one of the robots tries to charge at Mimi, and she fucking waves her hand and it disintegrates into flowers. And Mimi shudders and says, "Don't you worry, daughter. I'm the only one allowed to touch you." Which is a bad sentence.
Yeah.
That's a troubling...
It's meant to be bad, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Though maybe not in some of the ways you might think.
No. I'm just saying... don't talk about your kids like that.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
You shouldn't also be necessarily allowed to touch them.
Yeah.
But the High Priest is enraptured by this display of power. And Mimi tells him, "You get in my way, you die." And then the opening into the sky.
Yeah.
Again, when we cut back, she has already sort of continued this grim work. Of just devouring the entire facility in plants. I think by this point, she has knocked over the fucking pillar.
Yeah, I think the roof is gone.
And it's all covered in flowers. And, like, coils of writhing vines surround her. And one of the They have still not given up, though.
No! These fucking dumbasses.
The Asclepius boys do not know when to quit, because one of them orders the robots to capture her. Because that worked the last time. And they, again, raise their guns and are immediately disintegrated.
Uh-huh.
And the hood guy is horrified and starts looking around nervously.
Uh-huh.
And says, I need the third child. Where is she?
We see Flip Flap.
We come back to Flip Flap, and we see Boo, who is going somewhere.
He's, walking through the halls, or rolling through the halls.
Maybe making sure everything's ready to be destroyed, since they're destroying the base.
Yeah. He passes by the drill.
Yes. And then the drill opens. And the girl comes out.
Uh-huh.
The blue hair girl. Not Coconut.
Not Coconut.
Yeah. And she's got an inner tube.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. And a bad outfit.
Her outfit is absolutely dreadful.
Mm-hmm. And a gun.
She also has a gun, which is good,
just has a pistol.
She has a fucking Glock. It's not a Glock.
She starts aiming it around.
Uh-huh. And she says, I'm here. I want to shoot things too. Any enemies around here? And she spots Boo.
Who tries to back away.
Uh-huh.
And a creepy smile just sort of crosses her face.
Yes. And then we cut back to Asclepius, where Mimi is looking over her handiwork. And the high priest asks Mimi, again, not knowing when to quit, asks Mimi to allow him the honor of accompanying her to Pure Illusion. And says, with your power, the gate that lies between the material world and Pure Illusion will be no more, and we will be free to enter at last. The world we yearn for will finally be accessible for me too. And he's interrupted by a clover.
Growing on his nose.
Yeah. And Mimi says, Pure Illusion is for Coconut, and Coconut alone. And she disappears through a wall of plants and leaves the hood guy behind, and his face is slowly being covered with more plants. But he's kind of down with it.
He's into it in a weird way. Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
No, absolutely not. This is horrifying.
It's horrifying, yeah. Meanwhile, again at Flip Flap. Yu and Toto are still there. And are running through the halls. I guess it's just a very big base. And Yu notices that Toto is bleeding again. And Toto's like, my wound opened up again. I'll be okay. That's literally exactly what he fucking says. In basically that tone of voice.
Yeah.
But Yu calls in on the radio and requests that their orders be rescinded.
But all she gets is static.
And meanwhile, Sayuri and Hideka, I've forgotten every character's name for some reason. We're flashing back and forth between a lot of them.
Yeah.
They're climbing a ladder. They're leaving the base. And Sayuri asks Hideka if Salt will be alright. And Hideka yells that there's no point in worrying about that now! He's so loud.
He also has a fucking knapsack on his back, and I don't know what's in there.
Parts.
I guess.
And Sayuri flashes back to Salt, telling her, circumstances have changed, leave the rest to me, and then leaving into the base.
And we see on her monitor,
the base, maybe.
We see on Sayuri's monitor that they have seen the explosion at Coconuts' house.
Yeah. And in the present day, Sayuri is like, no, we probably should worry. There's probably reason to worry. And they emerge from the little ladder tunnel into an alleyway in town. Which, for some reason, reminds me of fucking Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. How you just go into the sewers.
Yeah. Yeah. Flip Flap is Nosferatu.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in an alleyway, and they're about to, book it. But at the end of the alleyway, Boo sort of rolls slowly out from behind a corner, and he's all beaten the fuck up.
He is all beat up.
His back opens, it just pops open, and we see He-Brain.
And Hideka scream,
He's horrified and says, "Who did this to you?" I do like Hideka's genuine concern for Boo. Even if he doesn't deserve it. And his question is answered by the blue hair girl. Who also is here at the end of the alleyway.
No longer is just wearing her inner tomb around her shoulder now.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Which better shows off how absolutely awful her outfit is.
Yeah.
It's very bad. There are some specific shots of it that are really bad. It's not good.
What is good, though, is that she points her gun at them.
And Sayuri and Hideka start panicking. And Sayuri yells that she knows martial arts. And Hideka yells for a security robot, which I assume is also a bluff. Yeah. I don't know if Sayuri does know martial arts. Maybe she does.
I think she would.
But Hideka is definitely bluffing, because there is one robot at Flip Flap, and it's that one.
It's that one.
It's the one with the human brain.
And she starts to be like, okay, which one of you am I going to shoot first? But before she can decide, her gun is yoinked away by a cable.
Yeah.
And we see on a nearby roof, Yayaka, who does a very cool pose where she holds the gun up to the sky.
Yeah. And she says hello to number 3. And the girl responds, "You're wrong, I'm Nunu." And Yayaka is like, Nunu?
She says, no, not Nunu, Nunu.
And Yayaka is like, alright, you're an odd one.
So that's Nunu.
That's Nunu. Nunu. And we cut. That's the end of that scene. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be a while before we see those cats again. It's gonna be a troubling while. There's gonna be a big time skip in sort of their story. Salt. We're back on Salt.
He's at the lake.
He's at the lake of the old research facility, which is gone. I'm pretty sure it's in ruins.
And now we know what those ruins are.
Yeah. And he stares out over the water. Is the water black at this point yet? Or...
I don't know when it turns black, but it does turn black at some point.
Yeah. And from behind him, we hear Mimi's voice, saying that it's been a long time. And we see Kokona's body, still being controlled by Mimi, standing behind Salt. And Mimi asks if he's surprised. And Salt is immediately into fucking dunking on Mimi mode. By saying, "So you chose to use your own daughter's body to come back in, Mimi. None of us wanted for you to have to return like this." And Mimi tells Salt that she has to protect Kokona. And she chastises him and says that he couldn't protect her. And Salt agrees. He couldn't protect Kokona. And then he turns around to face Mimi and aims a gun at her. And says, "And for that I am sorry, but now I need to atone for it." And flashback. More flashback. Yeah. We see Mimi and Salt again, but this time they're young adults. Yeah. They're not babies.
They're not babies. They're young adults.
And Mimi is looking at something. And Salt asks what it is, and Mimi tells Salt that his clothes look good on him. And because he's wearing the lab coat now. And notes that they never fit him until now.
That's how clothes work.
That's how... Yeah.
Well, Mimi doesn't know.
I mean, he was wearing just kind of an oversized outfit before. But he's grown into it now.
By the way, young Salt, just voiced by the same voice actor.
Really?
Which
he does a very good job.
Yeah, he has a lot of range.
Yeah. Also, I will say, Salt, handsome guy.
Yeah.
He goes from fucking cute librarian in these scenes to his future self, who is a cool biker dude who probably has a dog.
He has like a waistcoat under a big jacket. Does that make him a biker?
I guess not. The sunglasses say biker.
Yeah, fair.
He's a fucking man in black.
Anyway,
And Salt says that his clothes fit him now because now he's a real researcher at the facility. Not just a trainee.
Right.
That training takes a long-ass time.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was a child.
He was a child. I don't know what the labor laws are like in Japan. Yeah. Although I don't know that this facility would follow any laws.
Yeah, I don't know.
Given that they've apparently been kidnapping children.
Yes, who are dubiously dying.
Yeah.
Or getting turned into teddy bears.
Yeah, maybe.
And Mimi grabs his hands and wishes him congratulations. But then realizes that this means Salt is probably going to have to research her. Mm-hmm. And Salt says that he wishes there was some other way to understand pure illusion without hurting anyone. Mm-hmm. Which is a phrasing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who's getting hurt now. I guess whatever they're doing hurts Mimi, potentially.
Yeah, it probably hurts Mimi. I mean, again, children are dubiously dying.
Yeah, but that was before Papika.
I guess.
I assumed they were dying because they were not functioning as partners for Mimi.
Right.
But Mimi says, it's fine. It's cool.
Yeah.
And says, and besides, if it weren't for you and Papika, I wouldn't be able to do this. And then pushes Salt into the lake, which is very funny.
Mm-hmm. There's a montage of them playing in the lake. Mm-hmm. And near the end of the montage, we see Papika.
Yeah.
Who is also an adult now.
Yes.
As you might assume.
Because that's how time generally works.
Her hair is a lot shorter.
Her hair is a lot shorter. It's a very good look for her, I think.
So that's weird, huh?
That's weird. Young adult Papika.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut, and Mimi and Papika are wearing metal helmets connected by tubes. They're fucking drift compatible. I mean, that is pretty much what this entire show is.
Yeah.
It's just the drift. And the researchers are observing them, and we see some sort of tube machine. Because a lot of tubes in this show.
Yeah.
And it's labeled Elpis.
Mm-hmm.
ELPIS.
Do you know about Elpis?
Presley?
No.
I don't know what's up.
Elpis was the Greek god of purity, I think?
Okay.
Also, though, was a monster. And one of the few monsters that did not emerge from Pandora's box.
Okay. Huh. Wait, was he the Hope? Was he the Hope that was kept in the box?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the tube is like a chamber. And we see Salt's dad laying down and getting put into it like a big metal coffin. And we flash back within this flashback. Welcome to Flip Flappers. Mm-hmm. And Salt asks his dad, "What the fuck is this? What is Elpis?" And he's like, "It's a new experimental apparatus. Up until now, we didn't know where we would end up in pure illusion. The destination was always unknown to us. But today, that changes. When a person enters the Elpis, we'll be able to open up a link to their pure illusion." And we see, over this explanation, we see Papika and Mimi in a vibrant purple jungle swamp world. Mm-hmm. That was your words exactly in the notes. I just want to... With giant tardigrades that Papika pokes. Mm-hmm. They're very cute. Mm-hmm. I love a tardigrade.
Yeah.
And they find a stone archway. With, a red and black portal in it. Like the one that we saw Papika and Coconut go into Iroh's memories. Mm-hmm. And Mimi is about to enter it, and Papika yells at her to wait, but then she's too late, and both of them disappear inside. And then in the real world, it's later, and the researchers are murmuring about how Salt's father hasn't regained consciousness. And Salt is... They've brought him out of
they've opened up the Elpis.
And Salt is shaking him, horrified, and tries to get him to wake up. And his father's hand shoots up and grabs his arm and squeezes it super tight. And his dad sits up and has a wild look in his eyes. Mm-hmm. and raves that he felt a truly incredible power, and says that, "We need the gate to pure illusion to fall for us all. No, I will break it all down. Pure illusion into this world."
Mm-hmm.
And Salt, Mimi, and Papika are all horrified.
Uh-huh.
Because they fucked up something.
Yep.
They fucked up Salt's dad. And then later, we see Salt hunched over his desk in his room in shock.
Mm-hmm.
And Mimi starts to apologize.
Mimi and Papika are sort of in the doorway.
Yeah. And Papika interrupts and says it wasn't her fault. And asks Salt to tell Mimi that it wasn't her fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut.
Yeah.
And Mimi later goes to Papika's room and says they need to talk. And the door opens and Papika tells her to come in. Also, yeah, Papika's door has a sign that says, "No need to knock." And then it's signed Papika.
Uh-huh.
And it's in, like, rainbow crayon.
Mm-hmm. It's very cute.
And they talk off-screen about something. And then we see Salt, Papika, and Mimi meeting up at the lake. And they explain that they're fucking bolting.
Yep, they're going.
And Salt is like, what?
Hey, what's up?
What's up? And Papika explains that they talked it over, and they decided they have to get out and see the outside world. And Salt is not happy about that, because they kind of broke his dad and are now just leaving.
Uh-huh.
And we see a shot of Salt visiting his dad, who is doing the media crazy people thing.
Just writing on the walls.
Yeah, writing. There's like a bunch of paper scattered around that he's writing on, which also mirrors the like scattered drawings and stuff we saw in Eero's room.
Oh, yeah.
But not in the modern day, in the at the lake.
At the lake.
With Papika and Mimi and Salt. Papika yells that that's a terrible thing to say.
To say that Mimi broke Salt's dad.
Yeah, but Mimi says that she understands, and that she's the one who hurt Salt.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Even so, I need you more than you could ever know. Please, Salt, run away with me." And Salt says, "How could I possibly do that?"
Mm-hmm.
And Papika starts to try and say something about Mimi. She says, like, she's... and then can't finish it.
Uh-huh.
And Mimi just apologizes to Salt and thanks him for being by her side until now, and says goodbye. And we see Salt standing alone on the lakeshore as a siren blares across the facility. And then we cut to, like, a nebulous amount of time later.
Yeah. I think we know roughly how long because of something.
Yeah, that's true.
In a second.
Salt is alone and is staring at the Elpis.
Mm-hmm.
And he overhears... I don't know what the researchers have been doing during this time, because they don't have a pure illusion peoples to research.
Okay. They say, "Oh, did you hear? They found subject A33. And the other one is like, "Oh, finally, we can resume the work." So I guess they've just been doing nothing.
They've just been hanging around.
They've just been looking for Mimi.
I guess,
and they found her.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we see two of the researchers trying to force Papika into a tiny cell.
Uh-huh.
As she struggles against them and she kicks them. But they seal her inside. And Papika notices a thing around her ankle.
Uh-huh.
It is, it's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the metal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she struggles to pull it off, but can't.
Can't do it.
And Salt watches as in the sort of lobby of the lobby of the evil mad science facility.
Mm-hmm.
In the foyer. Salt watches as his dad welcomes a restrained Mimi back into the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And she yells, "Please don't do this. Give Coconut back. Don't you harm her. Just give her back to me."
Uh-huh.
And we see that Salt sees
Uh-huh.
one of the researchers is holding a baby with blue hair.
Mm-hmm.
And Salt stares, horrified, as he remembers the words Papika didn't say. As in, she's pregnant.
Yep.
And he collapses against a wall in his room, I think, and just says to himself, Why? Why didn't you tell me, Mimi? And we see Papika alone in her cell, and then the door opens, and she gasps in relief as she presumably sees Salt.
Yeah.
And we see Mimi alone in her room, holding a coconut. Actual baby this time.
Yeah.
We're not being silly.
She's
a baby.
This is an infant coconut.
And then the lights go out, and her door opens, and Papika is here, and says that she's happy that Mimi and Coconut are safe. And Mimi is like, wait, what the fuck? How'd you escape? And Salt is here.
Salt is here.
And he holds out his hand, and he says, let's go, all of us. Which is good to,
Yeah.
He's no deadbeat dad.
No, well, he becomes one.
I guess so. And the three of them rush toward the exit of the facility, and then Papika falls over as her ankle bracelet magnetizes itself to the floor. So we know what that does now.
Yep.
And it prevents her from going any further. She tries to pull it off, Salt tries to help her pull it off. And then the lights all come on, and Papika yells for Mimi and Salt to go on without her. And Mimi yells back, no, I can't be separated from you. And, Salt rushes over to try and pry her leg up, but is stopped by the security arriving and grabbing him. And the security also surrounds Mimi, and she yells at them not to touch Coconut. But then Salt's dad is here, because I guess they still let him be in charge.
Yeah. I mean, he was clearly still in charge when they brought Mimi back.
Yeah, he was, but I feel like he's not in the right state.
No, but do they care?
I guess not.
They were killing children.
That's true.
What standards do they have?
OSHA would hate this fucking place.
Yeah.
He chastises Mimi and reminds her that she'll never leave the facility again. And threatens that if she ever does anything like this again, she'll be punished, and sort of looks at Coconut as he's saying that. And Salt sort of just desperately yells at his father as he leaves, and Mimi begs for him to give Coconut back, and she breaks down crying and screams Coconut's name. And then she's alone. In a white room with no roof.
Yep.
We see there's a chandelier hanging from the no roof. And there's a table, and on the table is a red apple. And Mimi walks over to the apple and touches it. And the room's walls fall away, revealing a field like the one by the lake. And Mimi walks out onto a dock, which is covered in plants. It's covered in the plants and white flowers. And she wonders where she is.
Yeah, and it's we only see, like, the right side of her face as she says this.
And then we hear a voice, which is hers. Saying, do you wish to protect Coconut? Coconut is going to need you. She can't do it alone. You must watch her. A child always needs its mother.
And we see the left side of her face saying this.
Yep. And Mimi, on the right, says she wants to protect Coconut, but she's hesitant. And then the other Mimi assures her that she'll protect Coconut. She just needs to allow her to take her place. And then, in the research facility, everyone is a little freaked out by a tremor rocking the building. And the two guards restraining Mimi are sent flying by big fucking red tentacles. And those then destroy the roof of the entire facility. And we see Mimi floating, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Holding Coconut and enveloped by the red masses. And Salt and Papika are deeply concerned about what is happening here. And they call out to her, but she assures them, "We're good. I'm done here. I don't need this place. I don't need you. As long as I have her, I need nothing." And then there's a blinding white light that begins to envelop Mimi and Coconut. And Salt rushes forward and begs her to stop, but he is thrown back. And Mimi just cuddles Coconut against her and says, "Coconut, you're with me now, sweet Coconut. I'm sorry." But then Papika rushes forward as the bright light completely envelops them and leaps after them as they disappear. And we see a shot of Salt lying in the ruins of the facility alone. Because Papika went somewhere.
Worth noting, this is the flashback Papika had when she and Coconut arrived at the lake.
Although I think the shot was slightly different because I think when we saw it before, Papika had her normal look.
No, she didn't.
She didn't?
No.
Okay. I guess it's just hard to tell with how faces work on the show. We cut back to the present, and Salt says, "You made the wrong choice for our daughter, Mimi." And Mimi is like, "No, you." She says, "You were the one who made the mistake. My choice was correct. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil." And Salt yells at her that the real Mimi wouldn't have wanted this. And then some panels erupt from the ground around them and sort of bask Mimi in, like, some blue light. And I don't know what those are.
No.
Or if she's making them, or if
it's
it's
unclear what's happening.
That Salt set.
Maybe it was to contain her, if she ever...
Maybe.
I don't know.
They do emit, like, a ringing noise, and Mimi begins to also glow. And she says some shit.
What'd she say?
She says, "I am Mimi too, and your father as well. You'll find people have many faces in pure illusion, and they are all real, for they are all facets of one." And Salt is done. He's done with this he's also done with this cryptic bullshit. But then Papika swoops down into the field. Don't know if she has Yukskul with her. Maybe he's just in her pocket or something.
I don't know where he is.
And she asks Salt why he's aiming a gun at Coconut. And she is surprised when Mimi tells her that it's been a long time. And then the red tendrils shoot out of the ground near Mimi, and the panels that are glowing get covered in plants. And Papika is very confused, which is a valid reaction. And Mimi says that Papika doesn't look like she's changed at all, which is technically a lie.
Which is a big lie.
Because the last time
Mimi saw Papika,
she was like 20.
Yeah.
And now she's 14.
Yeah.
And Salt yells at Papika to get away. And then a pyramid of light forms around Mimi and Coconut's body. And sort of collapses and then explodes, which shoots out 2 globs of the red mass towards Salt. And he is knocked over, and the mass seems to have pierced right into the hand his gun is in. So he's been sort of Jesused in the palm.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if it hits both his palms, because we don't really see where the other one went.
Yeah, that's true. There were 2, though.
There were 2.
Maybe she just doubled up on that hand.
Maybe.
She had the fucking VATS activated and just aimed on the right hand. And Mimi sort of straddles him and to, like, hold him down, but apparently doesn't do very good at it because he immediately just lifts his gun and points it at her forehead. And Papika, I forget where Papika is in this
She's,
scene.
like, standing off to the side.
Yeah, she yells at him not to shoot her, and Mimi tells him that he's too nice to pull the trigger. And that she doesn't need him anymore. And then a tear falls from her eye onto Salt's face. And we see images of Mimi flashing through Salt's mind. And we see a new shot of Salt standing amidst the ruins of the facility as a shard of Amorphous forms in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And we then see Mimi telling Salt to stop her.
And then quickly changing her tune.
Yes. Then chastising him for not keeping a close enough eye on Coconut. And Salt stares at his own hand, where we saw the Amorphous form. And also where he's bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And the red masses just grab him and fucking yeet his ass into the lake.
Uh-huh. Which is definitely black at this point.
Yes. And Mimi tells Papika that she had to change once she decided she would do anything for Coconut. Mm-hmm. And Papika demands to know what she did with her. And Mimi assures her that she, Mimi, will always be with Coconut. She and I can live happily ever after, always. Which is never a good thing for a character to say.
Nope.
And Papika yells at her to give Coconut back and tries to run over to her, but is bowled over by Mimi's tendrils.
Mm-hmm.
And Mimi taunts her by saying, "Is it Coconut you want me to give back, or the Mimi you once knew?" And Papika sort of hesitates, and Mimi says, "So you can't choose? Then let me remind you what I said earlier." And with Coconut's voice, she tells Papika, "I hate you," again.
Mm-hmm.
And then disappears.
Yep.
And Coconut, hey, remember this character?
Remember Coconut?
She wakes up in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
We're back in the boat on the river, and Mimi, once again, welcomes her home.
Mm-hmm.
And Mimi explains to Coconut that she's her mom, and apologizes for making Coconut feel lonely. And Coconut is in disbelief and starts to cry, and Mimi asks what's wrong, and Coconut basically just sobs about how she's wanted to talk to her for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And ask her advice about school and careers, and then as she's talking about that, Mimi just silences her with a hug, tells her it's all right, and promises to do everything for her from now on.
Yep.
And we cut back to Papika, who is wading through the Black Lake and is looking for Coconut, and I guess also Salt.
Maybe.
Because I don't know why she would think Coconut was here.
She's gotta do something.
She's gotta do something. Her hover surfer is damaged and sparking, and it's just fully broken. And she just collapses to the ground crying.
Well, is it fully broken? We'll talk about
it. It seems pretty broke. And then we see Coconut and Mimi have gotten to sort of the end of the river, almost. Mm-hmm. And they're in, like, a fairy tale-like world. Mm-hmm. There's a big house, like a mansion. Mm-hmm. Is it a mansion or like a castle?
It's like a chateau.
A chateau. I love a chateau. That sounds like a Pokemon.
The way you say it, definitely.
And Mimi is admiring Coconut's hair and suggests that she grow it out like hers. And Coconut tells her it wouldn't look right, and Mimi tells her that isn't true, and Coconut's hair suddenly grows longer. Mm-hmm. And Coconut tries to protest, and then is also suddenly wearing a white dress like Mimi is. Uh-huh. And Mimi tells her that she looks great, and Coconut is like, can you change her back? And Mimi says she would, but Coconut looks so pretty. Mm-hmm. And Coconut asks what her friends will say, which is not a thing to be concerned about, really. You should be concerned about how you feel about your own appearance.
Yeah, I guess.
And I understand, like, this is not an expression of Coconut's personal self that she wants to. Anyway, Mimi says, "Dear, those friends were never going to be good enough for you. If you want some friends, Mother will make them for you." Uh-huh. And then Coconut turns back to normal. Uh-huh. And lays down in Mimi's lap. And the boat sort of shifts places. And is now, like, floating over a desert.
Yeah.
And Kokona says that she doesn't like this place. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because this is implied to be the desert world from before. And they then shift to be floating above an ice world with a bunch of creatures. A bunch of big... Tree things. Herding.
Yeah.
Underneath them. And Mimi tells Kokona that she'll build her the perfect world. I'll give you the moon if you want it. As long as you're here with me, that's all I need. And Kokona sits up and looks out across the snow world. And Mimi asks if she likes it, and Kokona smiles and says that she does. Because if you'll remember, this is the first one that Kokona
she went to with Papika.
Meanwhile, at school. Remember school? We're very late to it.
God. And Kokona is especially late because her friends are talking about how she's not here.
Yeah, there's a lot of absences, they say, because there's at least 3.
There's at least 3. I don't know if... I think those are the only ones they're talking about. I
wonder if the twins go to this school.
No, because we saw them in their school uniforms and they were different. They go to like a private school.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I guess this is a private school because it's an all-girls school. I don't know.
I was about to ask why they would have Yayaka and the twins go to different schools, but it makes sense that they would just want Yayaka to go to whatever school that Kokona goes to.
Kokona's classmates.
Wait, if Grandma is a robot, then they could have also decided what school Kokona goes to.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that. Kokona's classmates.
Yeah, they're like, a lot of absences. It's weird that Kokona would miss a school day. She never misses a school day, even when it's snowing.
And then it's snowing.
Yeah. And they all stare up at the sky. As there's no clouds.
Nope.
But there is red. There's a hazy thing of redness in the sky from which snow is falling. And their eyes also go weirdly hazy. And we see the rest of the town is also having that happen to them. All the, a bunch of just these weird red portals.
Yeah.
Are spitting out snow. And making people go hazy-eyed for some reason.
And, replacing, it... You know in Bioshock Infinite?
I don't, but go on.
There's a tear that you can use to shift into a different timeline. And you see, if you go around it, you'll see a thing. And then if you go look in the tear, you'll see an alternate version of the thing. It's like that, but the buildings are now snow buildings.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even notice that. That is also like before.
Yeah.
The first time we've been to this pure illusion. It also had all the buildings just made of snow. And then we cut. I bet you're wondering how we wound up in this situation. Because we cut to a cabin where the whole Flip Flap crew.
Plus Nunu.
Plus Nunu and Yayaka. Except, when I say whole, I really, Hideka, Sayuri, and Boo, plus Yayaka and Nunu, are in a fucking cabin.
Which I guess is a safe house?
I guess Nunu...
Unless this is just where Hideka lives.
I guess Nunu doesn't want to shoot them now.
I guess not. Because she is just watching as Hideka tries to work on a generator.
And Yayaka is staring out a window and at the snow. And is wondering, what the fuck? And then the door opens. And Dr. Salt is here. He's alive.
He's alive.
And not in the lake.
Not in the lake anymore.
I guess this place must be near the lake.
Or it's been
he's
a while.
He walked a ways. And he looks at Yayaka and says that they need to talk. Meanwhile, Papika is in the field. And she is alone. And silent. And the silence is broken by Yayaka saying, "You look like a sad little puppy." And Papika sits up, and Yayaka tells her she isn't here because she wants to be. Don't worry.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. Yayaka's still tsundere. And then we flash back to the cabin 5 minutes ago. And Salt hands Yayaka his Amorphous. And tells her that he wants her to save Papika. And Yayaka's like, nah. But Salt bows deeply in front of her and just says, please. And then the credits start playing. Also, when we say bows deeply, he fucking, collapses on his knees.
This is a thing in Japan. I think this...
Okay.
I know that it happens a lot in the Yakuza games, is what I'll say.
Okay. He's begging.
Yes.
And the credits start playing over this scene with a new song.
Yeah. The scene is Fly Like the Wind. I could not find out anything about it except that it is sung by Zach.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, you sing this.
I did this one.
Yeah.
Wait.
ZAQ.
Wait, is ZAQ the one who does...
The opening.
The opening too?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember if ZAQ was... Zach was the one who did the Sailor Moon opening? Or
no, it's this opening.
Okay.
It's a very good song.
Yeah. And we come back, and Yayaka asks Papika if she's just gonna lay around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And Papika says she might. Which mood?
Mm-hmm.
But Yayaka fucking splashes her with water. And says, get off your ass! It's time for us to save Kokona. And Papika tries to protest. But Yayaka is like, listen up, I'm gonna go save Kokona. Whether or not I'm saving her from her own mother, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna go save my friend. What are you gonna do about that? I love that Yayaka is just always confrontational with Papika, even when she's trying to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Papika weakly says that she's going. And the portals to Pure Illusion start opening up all around them. And Papika recognizes the Pure Illusion world as the first one that she and Kokona went to.
Yeah.
And Yayaka hops onto her own hover surfer. I remember now. I think she shows up on her own hover surfer.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they just have a shed?
Yeah, I don't know. And she holds out her hand for Papika to get on. And we cut. And we see the hood guy. The high priest of the Asclepius place. He is still being covered in flowers. Mimi made extra sure to make sure this one was very slow. She really hated this guy.
I mean, I think that's Salt's dad. I could be wrong.
That makes a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why he eventually decided they needed fucking KKK style uniform.
I don't know.
And robots. But he's pulling himself up as the portals start forming, and he's very excited because Pure Illusion. Mm-hmm. And he approaches one of the portals, but when he touches it, it explodes.
It just explodes.
He fucking eats shit. And it's very funny.
Mm-hmm. Back at the lake,
Yayaka and Papika are flying into the sky and dodging around the opening portals to get to a black hole.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another eclipse happening and they need the darkness to enter Pure Illusion. And Yayaka is still trying to confrontationally pump up Papika, I guess. She's like, you can't run away forever, even though she's already agreed to come with her. And Papika is like, yeah, if we don't do something, it could be bad. And Yayaka immediately interrupts her and is like, when did you become such a pathetic whiner? And Papika is like, I know. And then sort of pauses, but steals herself and says, I really, really, really love Kokona and I'm gonna save her. Mm-hmm. And Yayaka is like, great! We've got one chance. No rehearsals.
Yep.
I can pretty much guarantee you Papika doesn't know what a rehearsal is. And they clasp their hands together as they fly through a portal into Pure Illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then, next time...
Pure Howling.
Yeah. So
there's a lot.
This episode is probably going to run pretty long.
We've talked about some of it already.
Yes.
Where do you want to start?
Mimi is Kokona's mom.
Yes.
Papika is as old as Salt, except not, because she got reverted into a child.
At some point.
At some point, probably when she dove after Mimi and Coconut as they were being absorbed into pure illusion, if that's what was happening. So, Mimi made a pact, a fucking devil deal, with what could be pure illusion itself.
It seems like that is what's happening.
Which is now controlling her, who is dead, and in turn controlling Coconut. So, pure illusion is possessing a ghost that is possessing Coconut.
Mimi, I don't know if this is ever explained, so I'm gonna say it now.
Okay.
Mimi is the shards. The Amorphous are Mimi.
Okay.
That's why they reconverge when she is sort of awakening to take control of Coconut.
Okay.
That is also why a lot of the time when Coconut and Papika were in pure illusion, things were trying to get them to stay forever.
Okay, that makes sense. It's Mimi's force trying to keep her to stay, or whatever's left of Mimi.
Yeah,
that's been corrupted by pure illusion itself.
I think the thing that took control of Mimi is still Mimi.
Yeah, because she talks to herself and makes the deal with herself. It seems like we know pure illusion is all about relationships. It's a world built on relationships, and it seems like the entity that is now Mimi is like it's a corruption of Mimi's motherly relationship towards Coconut. It is like her maternal instincts given sentience.
Yeah, basically.
And basically taking over her soul.
Yes.
So Mimi merges with pure illusion or whatever and is taking Coconut, and then Papika dives after them. And I don't really know what happens after that point. They disappear. All three of them are gone.
Yeah.
We see Salt alone.
We will see some of what happens after that. I'll say that much.
And Salt, the Amorphous forms in Salt's hand. So I assume that was his connection with Mimi.
Probably, yes.
Given physical form, basically, when Mimi, I guess, shattered.
Yeah.
I guess it's Papika fucked up Mimi's exit and broke her. But I don't know what happened to Papika and Coconut then. If they got lost in pure illusion, and if they did, how'd they get out?
That's the part that will be explained.
Okay. And then the Asclepius crew
formed from the remnants of the old research facility.
Right. And made a robot grandma.
Now this is where I kind of lose the plot.
Yeah, because they all... So, if grandma...
Remember the end of episode 1, when those robots came and grabbed Coconut, and then the beginning of episode 2 she woke up in her own bed?
Yeah.
They took her back to her grandma, who they control, but in that case, why didn't they just take her then?
Yeah, why didn't they just take her the whole time?
I don't know.
Is it possible there was a grandma? Probably not actually Coconut's grandma, but Coconut had a caretaker.
I think the entire time throughout this show, Grandma has been a robot.
Really?
But it's possible that there was a real grandma before that was replaced.
Okay.
It's also possible there was a real grandma earlier in the show that was replaced at some point off screen.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Or even because it would make sense if they fucking Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Her grandma sometime after Yayaka met with Coconut in the hospital. Right. So maybe that was the real grandma.
Maybe that was.
Later when they became able to create a fucking replicant, they killed her and replaced her with a robot.
Yeah.
but also genuinely feels for Coconut?
It seems that way.
Which is weird.
Because she does ask them not to hurt her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Grandma.
Grandma's weird. Fucking Grandma Bot is a strange element
I guess
of this.
the reason they didn't take Coconut before was maybe they needed all of the shards to be out of Pure Illusion.
Maybe, yeah.
For whatever they planned to do with Coconut.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe their plan was to put Mimi in Coconut's body. Who knows?
Maybe. I do love any story that involves a bunch of science boys doing a weird science, and then there's a super powerful entity that hates these science boys and fucks up the science boys.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like that story so much, but it's such an aesthetic.
You're just a real big fan of Stranger Things.
I'm not. I'm a real big fan of Mewtwo.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Also GLaDOS.
GLaDOS
from Portal. It is especially like when the entity has a reason to hate these assholes. Also, Outlast is a very bad game.
Yeah.
But I like the Ghost Boy in it. Spoilers for Outlast, but who gives a fucking shit? I'm
sorry if you give a shit, but why?
Why do you give a shit? You shouldn't. It's a bad video game. But I do like that it's a ghost boy it's like a science ghost.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Love a science ghost.
Love a science ghost. That's basically what Mimi is here, except also she's a fantasy ghost because of Pure Illusion.
Right.
It's the fucking psychic maelstrom. So... Yeah, so those are the elements I'm just kind of lost on, but all the pieces are falling into place.
Much like Mimi's.
All of her pieces fell into the place that is Coconut. And I don't know what the fuck happened to Papika.
Who knows? I do.
'Cause she got kidded. She was a grown-up, and she got turned into a kid.
Yep.
And we didn't talk about how that fucking sign on her door is when she is an adult. The fucking rainbow crayon sign.
It might be left over from when she was a kid.
It might be, but she has not deigned to remove it.
No.
Which is very good. I love
her.
She's
fantastic. As Papika as an adult does seem more mature than the Papika we know.
Yes. She probably knew what a rehearsal was.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, her memories...
got all fucked up.
Her memories got all fucked up. I hope she's not a grown-up now, though.
Cause I don't think she is.
Okay. Cause that'd be fucked up.
Yeah.
Cause she is dating Coconut.
Yeah.
Who, I guess, is also a grown-up now.
She does really, really, really love Coconut.
Yeah. Coconut's just a different grown-up now.
Yeah.
She's not a grown-up Coconut. And so Mimi has been visiting Coconut in her dreams through Pure Illusion, I guess.
Yes.
And is saying, welcome home, because Pure Illusion is their home. And I don't know that, like, I don't know why Mimi's like that. I don't know why Mimi has this connection to Pure Illusion. I don't know if it matters.
I don't know if it matters why she has the connection to Pure Illusion.
She's just an anomaly.
Yeah.
And that is, like, that's why Coconut is also.
There's definitely, there's something to be said about her room at the facility, and how it is intense.
Full of teddy bears that were former children.
That and intensely feminine, and the way she is dressed is intensely feminine. And the way in which Pure Illusion allows her and Coconut and Papika to basically be free of that.
Right.
Be free of, like, basically any restraints.
You do have to want, like, they had to have... Did they put her in that outfit?
I don't know.
Or did she get to choose that?
I don't know if it matters whether or not the scientists put her in that outfit, but what matters is the
symbolism.
The symbolism. Also, Salt.
Salt is cool.
Salt is Coconut's dad.
Salt is Coconut's dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what to say about that. He was an asshole to her a lot of times. But I definitely believe him more as a sort of an asshole who was still trying, more so than like a Severus Snape type.
Yes, definitely.
Because it feels like he was genuinely trying to protect Coconut in some ways, but also like he did he know that the Amorphous was Mimi? Do you think was Salt trying to reform Mimi? Because like he did say he didn't want Mimi to come back like this.
Yeah. I think maybe he wanted to try and reform Mimi.
Also, doesn't Papika have an Amorphous in her?
Yes. Yeah.
Did that come out of her?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So she still has it. It's still in her ankle.
Mm-hmm. And Salt kept his also. So not all of the shards returned to Mimi.
Did he keep his?
Yeah, because he gave it to Yayaka.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That could also explain why Mimi is fucked up. Because she's missing bits.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, everything she could have taken back to Coconut to protect her, she did, but... Also, it makes sense that Papika's, again, her, like, connection to Mimi would form under the bracelet that prevented her from saving Mimi. So a lot happened. It's still confusing. I still don't know quite what's going on, but I think I have a better idea now.
Also, by the way, so Toto and Yu are the children of Amorphous.
Children of Amorphous. But they don't have Amorphous in them. That is different.
Yes. But Coconut, also the child of Amorphous.
Yes. That's true. So I was kind of right.
You were kind of right.
By accident.
Yeah.
She was literally the child of Amorphous, whereas they just built... how did they do that?
Yeah, who knows?
How'd they homunculus those twins up?
And then later Yu.
Yeah. I wonder if they were trying to make twins, or if that just happened.
I don't know.
Like twins do, you know.
Yeah.
And then Yu, their sister.
Yeah, I guess.
Who I guess is also Coconut's sister. Ish.
I guess technically.
But yeah, she's got a gun.
She does have a gun, but she's chill now.
I love that Toto has his fancy scanners and his missiles. Yu has a fist, and Yu has a gun and an inner tube made of steel.
Yu is such a shitpost of a character.
Yeah, I don't understand her or her purpose in the plot right now.
I've described Yu to me, so a thing that happens a lot in anime when it is adapting a manga is there will be a character who appears in the manga, but they don't have a lot of time in the anime adaptation to, like, give them the arc that they have in the manga. So they just kind of appear and, like, sort of float around and don't really do anything.
Right.
Yu is like that, except this is an original anime not based on a manga. Like, when I see Yu and see the nothing that she does, I'm like, well, if I read the manga, I guess she does more, but there isn't a manga.
There isn't a manga. She'll be the main character of Flip Flappers 2, season 2. Yeah. I guess she's just there to make Yayaka jealous that one time,
basically.
And they had to do something else with her, so
I guess.
She's here now, and I guess she's not... she's clearly devoid of loyalty. Like, she has no interest in actually doing shit. She's just here for a laugh. She's just here for a good time. Which seems to be why she immediately switches sides. Even when she was about to shoot Hideka and Sayuri. And also beat the snot out of Boo. She's weird.
Yeah.
And I guess I like her. She's cool. I wish her outfit was better.
Outfit is easily the worst.
Yeah. I like her inner tube.
Her inner tube is cute.
And I like her gun.
Her gun is fun.
I think we talked about all the shit, but I'm kind of, affected. It's a lot, and it's very interesting and enjoyable. And sad at parts.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm curious to see where the fuck it goes, and also how'd they get that baby back?
Mm-hmm.
That baby back.
Great.
You know, like the...
Yeah, like the what?
Red Rob? Nope. Chili's?
Red Robin?
Was it Chili's?
Yes, it's Chili's. That's part of the song.
What song?
What the fuck are you were just singing it?
The Baby Back Ribs song?
Yes!
Do they say Chili's in it? I just know the part where they go, I want my baby back, baby back, baby
Chili's, baby back ribs.
Oh, I didn't... Okay.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay. It's not Red Robin.
No! That is Red Robin's jingle, but that's not part of the baby back ribs song.
Yeah, no. Listen, if I go to Chili's...
You won't, because they serve mostly meat.
Well, I will go to Chili's, though, because I have gone to Chili's, and they have very good fries.
Okay.
And also good chocolate shakes.
Oh, really?
Sometimes I remember they used to put chocolate sprinkles on the chocolate shakes.
That's weird. You can't drink those.
Yeah, you can. You get them in a little straw. They had a pretty wide straw. So.
Okay, fine.
Welcome to our Chili's Watchcast.
There was something else I wanted to say.
Okay.
The cycle of abuse is very visible here.
Yes.
Mimi was controlled her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a daughter. Mm-hmm. And now she wants to control her daughter.
Yes. By putting her in a safe, frilly room.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was in.
Mm-hmm.
Mimi is the epitome of, my parents did it to me and I turned out fine.
Uh-huh.
She didn't.
No.
You didn't turn out fine. You're made of crystals and dreams now.
You're made of crystals and dreams. Sounds like something from a fucking Tumblr aesthetic blog. Also, Kokona's happiest in the world that reminds her of Papika.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's important.
That is important.
Aside from that, I don't think there's I think we've covered most of what's...
Very interesting and cool and fun.
Yeah.
I like mad science and off the shitty scientific facilities that eat up children.
As always.
And turn them into teddy bears.
Don't think you're right about that. As always.
I'm not saying she did it on purpose.
Okay.
It just happened.
Okay. As always, thank you for listening. You can find me at Lorena27 on Twitter.
And you can find me at Frylord Zarek on Twitter.
And you can find the show at late_school.
And thank you to Soichi Sakagami for the songs Yatori Adventure and Sakai no Yakusoku.
I haven't said this before, but I should. You can find the rest of their music at tandes.com.
Yeah.
If you like it, maybe buy some of it from them. Also go buy some Kevin MacLeod music or whatever. Together,
we
flip,
flap.
You?
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で今すぐまっすぐ君のことを探したいけど君が残したひとかけらの勇気で歩き出せる踏み出せるもう迷わないからどんな道だって振り向かずに進める一人だって覚えていますか君と見た色づいた世界をモノクロの日にやっと見つけたよ二人なら塗り替えれるよほら
Her hover surfer. Let me take that again. Her hover
Surfboard?
Her hover surfer